everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Isabel. I am an event planner for the Reactor, joining you live from Sydney, Australia. Now, before we begin, we have a quick housekeeping. We are committed to fostering a welcoming, inclusive, and supportive environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, please let's keep our comments respectful and constructive throughout the session. This session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. Thank you all for joining us on this session called Unlocking Insights with Azure AI Content Understanding. I am excited to introduce our fantastic speaker, Ziggy, and will now be handing over the spotlight to him. Take it away, Ziggy.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ziggy Zulueta. In this session, we'll be discussing what Azure AI Content Understanding is and how you can get insights from your data. But first off, let me introduce myself. So for those who have LinkedIn, you may add me up and connect with me here in LinkedIn. I'm a LinkedIn Learning instructor. So for those who may have not known, LinkedIn is actually a subsidiary of Microsoft. And most of the content that we have comes from Microsoft Learn. It's pretty much text-based. So here at LinkedIn Learning, what we actually do is to complement these Microsoft Learn materials. So here at LinkedIn, I provide a lot of Microsoft AI videos. So I have roughly around 8 videos already in the LinkedIn Learning platform that goes through different Microsoft AI technologies. I'm also a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional. So it's a technical award given to experts all over the world, and the award is given to me in the field of AI. I'm also a Microsoft Certified Trainer. So I do provide a lot of training to many organizations and individuals all over the world to get certified. And I have quite a number of certifications, among them the Azure Solutions Architect and Power Platform Solutions Architect and Azure Engineer, to name a few. So I did mention that I do have a course in LinkedIn. I have this course called Microsoft Azure AI Essentials Professional Certificate. And what makes this course very unique versus other LinkedIn courses is that unlike other LinkedIn courses in which after you complete the course, you get a LinkedIn completion badge. With this course that we have right now, which I'm showing on screen, which I authored, after you take the course, you are eligible to take an exam in which once you pass the exam, you get an official professional certificate from Microsoft. So now let's discuss what Azure AI Content Understanding is. So first and foremost, it's designed to process and ingest content of any types. And that content can be documents, it can be images, it can be videos, and it can be in an audio format. And what you want to do is to get a user-defined output from each of these unstructured data that we have. So typically, an example here would be for documents, you want to extract data from an invoice. So for example, you want to get the invoice date, we want to get the line item details in an invoice, or you want to even get, for example, the merchant information. In the demonstration later, we'll also show you how a form is filled up, and then from there you can start asking questions on how that form was actually filled up. So it's a customized form. For images, imagine that you have an image dataset and you want an AI tool to classify the objects, or you have a chart in which you want to explain the actual chart in itself. So that's one example. And for videos, let's say that you want to get the summary of a video, or you want to get an understanding on what that video is about. It can be for an audio, it can be a customer call recording, in which you want to get the customer details, the sentiment of the whole recording, the issue that was discussed in that recording, if the issue was resolved during that whole conversation, and we actually get the summary of the recording. So these are one of the ways in which you'd want to use Azure AI Content Understanding. So in general, Azure AI Content Understanding converts the content that you have from an unstructured format to a structured format. And in this session, we'll provide you a whole lot of demos to go through all of these four different document types. So what are the key steps in order to use the service? Number one, it's actually very easy. So we just need to create an Azure AI Services resource. We need to get the key and the endpoint. And then from there, step two, you need to create a custom analyzer. So this custom analyzer, which we'll discuss in the next few slides, will basically tell the system what kind of data we need. Once the custom analyzer has been created, all we need to do is to analyze the file immediately. And then once we are done, we delete the analyzer when done. So when creating the Azure AI services, number one, the first thing that we need to understand is that since this is in preview, right now there's actually limited support, meaning it's only available in a few regions. So if you will create an Azure AI services resource, it has to be in either West US, Sweden Central, or Australia East. Then once you have created the resource, you then need to go to the Azure portal and go to the resource and get the keys and the endpoint. So in this case, you should go to the Content Understanding tab, and you'll see the endpoint here, and you need to copy this key, in which we will use for our code. And then, after you created the resource, you need to create a custom analyzer. In that analyzer, we need to provide a unique name, and we need to create a JSON file with the following details. One would be the description of the analyzer. Two would be the scenario. It can either be an image for an image file, a video shot for a video file, a document for a document file, or for example, call center for an audio recording. And then from there, you provide the different field schemas. So these are the things that you want to extract from the actual document. For example, let's say you want to get in a audio recording the summary of the call, then you need to specify in the label of the field the summary. Then you need to specify a type. So in this case, the summary would be a string. It can be a number, it can also be an array. So the array is used, for example, in the demonstration later for line item details for an invoice. Then you need to specify the method on how you want to have AI content understanding get the data. It can be generate to generate the information. It can be classify to classify amongst a number of set of a list that you specify, or extract to get a specific information from an invoice. And then finally, then this is the most important part, you provide a description. In this description, it's like telling the large language model the explanation, the exceptions, the rules of thumb, and other details to clarify the desired behavior. So enough of the talk. Let's actually do some demos for you to understand what these things are. Okay, so let me first open my Azure portal. So number one, I have all my documents here in an Azure storage account. What will happen here is that I have my audio files here, which we will be running later. We have two sample call center audio calls. We have here our documents. So I have here a consent form. So in this case, you have a sample COVID consent form of an individual filling of a form. And then we have sample invoices. Under images, we have the images of a bicycle, a bus, and a car. And under videos, we have two videos, which comes from a YouTube channel, in which this comes from the YouTuber, and Mercedes-Benz is using Azure AI, and the Dow Chemical Company using Azure AI. So we uploaded them here in the storage account. So that's another thing, the first step you need to do. You need to put in a location that all your files for them to be accessible. Now, we will create an Azure AI Services resource. So as mentioned, it only supports 3 regions right now. So what you'll do is you need to click on Azure AI Services, and then from here, you'll see this Azure AI Services. You need to click Create. You'll fill in your resource group, you'll fill in your region, in which case, as I mentioned, there are only quite a number of regions right now. So in this case, you'll use West US. You'll specify a name. So in this case, reactor resource, and you put the pricing tier. Then you'll click review plus create. Oh, there's a validation. Okay, forgot the resource group. Okay. Review plus create. And once that is done, you'll click create. So I'll not create anymore because what happened here is that we already have one that we created. We have here Azure AI Services West US. So this is the resource that we will use, in which once you click on the keys and endpoints, you'll see under content understanding your endpoint and need to specify the key. So obviously I will not share it right now because this is confidential information, but these are the things that you need to put. Now let's head over to our code. So I have here in GitHub code spaces my code. So there are 4 steps as we mentioned. One is you need to create your Azure AI Services resource and get the keys and endpoints. We've already done that. Number 2 is to create a custom analyzer. Okay, so before that, we don't have a Python library right now for the REST API. So what we did right now in this demonstration is to create Python implementations for all of the APIs that we have available for Azure AI Content Understanding. So step 1, we need to create our Azure AI resource and load our Azure configuration. Then step 2, we have a bunch of Python implementations in which I will discuss later what these code is about. First, let's just run this in order to define the Python implementations. And step 2 is to define and create the analyzer. So this is where the magic happens. So in this case, my analyzer ID, this would be the name of my analyzer. It will be image analyzer. And then from here, in the request body, we'll specify a description. So this is a sample image analyzer in which the scenario is an image. So in this scenario, we will be getting information from an image. And we need to specify the field schema. This field schema would contain the fields that we want to be extracted. One would be the title. Another would be the image description. So in this case, if for the image description, it's of type string, and we want Azure AI Content Understanding to generate that description. And from here, we provide a, direction, a description in which, okay, this generates the description of the image. Then we have image category. It's of type string, and we want Azure AI Content Understanding to classify the image, either a car, a bus, or a bicycle. And the description is classify the image into one of the specified categories. And then finally, we provide an image color. This one generates the dominant color of the image. Okay, so let's create this analyzer. So we'll discuss later what these information is. But in general, once you create the analyzer, so let's go to this create analyzer code. All it does is, number 1, it gets your keys and endpoints, which we loaded initially. It calls a URL, and then it makes a put response, in which we get the response, and we get an operation location URL. So this is the operation location URL. This operation location URL is what we will use to get the status of the analyzer. We first need to define if the analyzer has been successfully created. In which case, once you see it succeeded, then that's the time we can start analyzing files. So once you've created the analyzer, let us now analyze a file. So let us open this link here of an example image. So this is a bike with some red accents. What we'll do is we'll analyze the file. So let's go back to the analyze file method. All it does is, again, it uses the keys and endpoints. It calls a URL, in which case, in the URL, we fill it up with the header, which contains the subscription key, and the data contains the file URL. And then from there, we create a post response in which we again return an operation location. And in that operation location, so after we analyze it, we get an operation location URL again. We get the analysis result. So sometimes if you run it immediately, so let's say we run this again, let's analyze this again, and we run this immediately, you'll see it's still running. So once it's complete, then you will see the actual result. So let's again run this, keep on. So now the result came out. So what is the title? It's a mountain bike image. What's the description? The image shows a mountain bike with a sleek design. It features a sturdy frame, front suspension fork, etc. Then this was the image category. So it's either a car, a bicycle, or a bus. In this case, it's a bicycle. And what's the image color? Black and red. So now let's analyze another image. We'll display it here. This is an image of a bus. Let's analyze the file. And let's get the status of the analysis. So it's still running. So let's keep on click on this. Now it's done. You see here, the title is a yellow bus. The image shows a modern yellow city bus. It has a sleek design with large windows and a digital display at the front. The image color is bus, image category is bus, image color is yellow. Now let's discuss how we actually extracted this information. So notice, when we created the analyzer, we're expecting the title field, the image description field, the image category field, and the image category. During printing, so what we did here was that we first analyze the file. It will provide a response JSON. In that response JSON, we want to print out the different information, in which case, once the response is succeeded, so remember, if it's not yet succeeded, it's going to be running. So it will be in the else statement. The result is running. If it's already succeeded, we'll get the contents of the result, and we'll get the specific fields. So remember, in our image analysis, we're expecting the image description, the image category, the image color, and the title. And then we printed out each and every information. So here, as you've noticed, this is really where the magic happens, wherein you define the different fields that you want and the different descriptions. So these descriptions are practically the instructions for the large language model to understand what it is that you're actually getting. So going back to our demonstration, once you've completed the analysis, if you're done, you then need to delete the analyzer. So this is an image example. Let's go to an actual video example. So heading back to our very start to the code, we need to, number one, load our Azure configuration, the endpoint and the services key. And then we'll use the same Python implementations. We'll need to create an analyzer, get the status of the analyzer operation status, analyze the file, and get the status of the file analysis. And then, once we're done, we delete the analyzer and we print the result. Now, the printing of the result is different because we have a different set of fields that we want. Okay, so let me first define these helper functions. Now we create the analyzer. In this video example, we want to, number one, determine, so we have the description of the analyzer, it's sample video analyzer, and the scenario is a video shot. We want to get the title of the video. We want to get the description of the video, which is the detailed summary of the video segment. We want to get the company. So here, we want to get the company that this video segment is about. And in here, I put here Azure. We want here to determine, okay, in this video, what Microsoft Azure service was used, and the purpose of why that Microsoft Azure service is used by the company. Okay, so we're trying to get more insights on the videos that I showed you earlier. So in fact, let me open again these videos. These are YouTube videos. Hold on a sec. Yeah. So these are the two videos. One is Mercedes-Benz using Azure AI, and another is Dow Chemical using Azure AI. So heading back to the code, sorry, wrong file. Heading back to, okay, heading back to our code, we create the analyzer, and then we track the status of the analyzer creation. Once it succeeded, we now analyze the file. So here, this video is the Dow video. We'll analyze it. And we get the analysis result. So notice, obviously, since we are analyzing a video, this will take quite a while, probably a minute or so. But while we're waiting for that, let me just show you an output of the Mercedes video. So here we analyze the video of the Mercedes video. We got the result, and the result is, okay, it's a scenic Mercedes drive in which the company that we're talking about here is Mercedes-Benz. And the video begins with a scenic view of Mercedes-Benz vehicle driving along a picturesque road surrounded by mountains, and then providing a lot of other information. And then the product that we're talking about here is GPT-4 Turbo. And then you want to enhance the user experience with AI-driven personalization. So that's actually what the video was really about in YouTube. So let's click on this to see the final result. For the Dow Chemicals, is an aerial view of the industrial complex. The company is Dow. The description, you have the description of the video, and then it's using Azure Cloud Services to support Dow's digital operations and innovative solutions. Okay. Then once you're done, you need to delete the analyzer. Let's now go to a document example. So we showed you earlier an imaging example. Now let's go with a video example. So again, as with everything, you need to load your Azure resources, the keys and the endpoints. We then need to go to our Python implementations, which is the same thing that we use for images and videos. So we have code here to create the analyzer. We have a code to get the analyzer operation status, code to analyze the file, and to analyze the file status, the file, file analysis status. And then we delete the analyzer. And then here, we have a different function now to print out the result. And let's talk about the fields that we want to get. So in this example, so let me open the sample documents that we have. Hold on a sec. Hold on, I'm looking for the file. Okay, so this is a sample file that we have in which we have a person filling up a form. Let me close this. So we want to analyze this actual form. We want to get the name of the person, the last name, and what the person encircled. For example, so let me maximize this. Which arm do you prefer for vaccine? You want to determine what the person encircled, and then going down here, we want to specify, okay, did the person in fact receive a dose of COVID-19 before, and then on what date, what was the manufacturer and what date. So you can actually describe more what you actually want to get from the document. So let's talk about the analyzer. So here in the analyzer, we put a description, sample document analyzer, and we put the scenario. It's a document scenario. Now we specify the fields. Number one, we want to get the name of the person. So here we specify the field is name, the method is extract, and get the name of the person, in which case you want to include the first name, middle name, and last name. In other words, in this document, we want to get the full name. We want the large language model to get Jesus, Gabriel, and Iglesias, all of these three names. Then we have the arm. We wanted to extract the preferred arm for the person, whether it be left or right. And you want to get the dose. Gets the answer to the question, have you received a dose of COVID-19 vaccine before? Must be yes or no. For manufacturer, we want to get the manufacturer of the vaccine received, if any. For the date received, we want the date of the previous vaccine dose, if it was received, if any. And then finally, other vaccines. Guess the answer to the question, have you received any other vaccinations in the past 14 days? So that's actually this question here, this question, yeah, in which no one has filled up. Okay, so now let's create the analyzer. Get the status of the analyzer operation, in which case it succeeded, and now let's analyze the file. And afterwards, we get the analysis result. So it's still running. Keep on. Okay, we get the result here. So what's the name? Jesus Gabriel Iglesias. So from here, you notice, yeah, so you got the name, Jesus Gabriel Iglesias. And then afterwards, left, the arm is left. So what did the person encircle? It's left. So the system accurately captured it. And then the dose, was there a previous dose received? So go to the second page, you see that the person ticked yes. And then from here, you want to get the manufacturer. In this case, it's Johnson & Johnson. So here's Johnson & Johnson. And what was the date? The date received was 07/15/2021. So here, this date here. And then, have you received any vaccination in the past 14 days? Other vaccines, and it's none. Okay. Let's open another example. So let's click on this link here on what this document is. Okay. Let's run the file. Let's analyze the file again. And let's get the status. Okay. So let's look at this document. We're looking at Lexi Thompson. Okay, so the name is Lexi Thompson. The arm is right. So let's check out. Yes, right was filled up. Then was there a previous dose before? Let's go to down below. Yes, there is. It was Moderna on 4/20/2021. So yes, Moderna 4/20/21. Other vaccines? No. So none. Okay, and then finally, one more last document. Let's open this. Let's show you this file here. So we're now looking at Kane, Harry, Paul, in which left. So let's run this result. Still running. So this one is taking a little bit longer than expected to give out the result. Okay, while we're waiting for that. Oh, there you go. So Harry Paul Kane is the name. So yes, this time left arm. Was there a dose before? Let's go to the previous page. There is no dose, so nothing on manufacturer and date. So you can see here, dose is none, manufacturer none, date received none, other vaccines yes. So you can see here that the person did in fact receive a vaccine before. So notice that in any of these situations, we didn't do any training of the document. We just placed in the document, and through the analyzer, we just wanted to the analyzer explained to the large language model what is the information that we actually need. And then from there, we actually pass it through the service, and the service is able to get the information that it wanted. Okay, and then once you're done, we delete the analyzer. Okay, so let's go to a second document example. This time, let's go with invoices. So let's go back up. We have here your keys and endpoints loaded again. You have your same Azure implementations, Python implementations, which I'll no longer explain because it's the same code. The only thing that is always different would be the printing of the response, because the output will be a different JSON composition based on your analyzer. In this case, what is our analyzer? This is an invoice analyzer. where it's a document scenario, and you want to get the vendor of the invoice, you want to get the invoice date, we want to get the invoice amount. And here, what's unique about this is we have an items array. Inside the items array, we want to get the description of the item. We want to get the quantity of the item, the price of the item, and the amount of the item. So these are the line item details. Okay. So we create the analyzer. We track the status of the analyzer creation. It's now succeeded. We now analyze the file. So what does this file look like? Let's open it. So this is a sample invoice which I created from Canva. So we have here bill to tail bikes from Contoso Traders. The invoice date is May 9. And then you have the different descriptions here of the line items. And then you have the invoice at the bottom. So let's get the status of the analysis. So here you can see here, the vendor name is Contoso Traders. The invoice date is May 9. The invoice amount is 6,325. So let's see. Yes. And then here you have the different line items. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 line items. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. And then you can see here the quantity, price, and the total. So you have the quantity, the price, and the amount. Okay. So yeah, I mean that's how simple it was. Just describe in the analyzer, in this body here, just describe what is it that you actually need, and that's it. Okay. So let's have one more last example of the invoice. So we have an invoice image this time. So initially it was a PDF. We have an invoice image. So it's actually different. I got this online. So from some sample document. This time, this is from Perfect Types Plumbing. We analyze that file. And we get the result. So in this case, you're expecting the vendor name to be Perfect Pipes Plumbing. The invoice date would be on 09/04/2021. So let's get that here. And then the invoice amount is $84. Invoice amount of $84. And then this is about the dishwasher installation. So you have here the dishwasher installation, quantity 1, price 70, amount 70. And you get the figures here. And then once you're done, you delete your analyzer. And then finally, in our last demonstration, we have sample call center recordings, which I also got online. So step 1, again, load your endpoints and keys. Step 2, define your Python implementations, which is the same. You need to create an analyzer, get the analyzer operation status, analyze the file, get the file status, and then delete the analyzer, and then print out the results. And here in our analyzer, we now specify, okay, this is a scenario, a call center scenario. That to specify that we're expecting an audio, the service is expecting an audio file. And in that audio file, we want to get the product name, meaning in that discussion, what was the product that was actually being discussed. We want to get the summary of the call. We want to get the resolution of the call. We want to get the customer name. Who was the customer in that actual conversation? And then you have here the agent name. So this would be the agent receiving the call, and you want to get the sentiment. Is it positive, negative, or neutral? So I notice for product summary resolution, customer name, agent name, it was generate. For sentiment, it was classified. So we define the analyzer. Oh, it says none here. Hold on a sec. Oh, wait. I have it. So you need to delete it first. So I created this previously. So now let's create a new one again. Okay, so now you see. What happened was I created this, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and I was not able to delete it. So as you noticed, none came out earlier. So I had to delete it first for me to show you that I'm creating a new one again. So that's why you need to keep on deleting. Or if it's not deleted, you can reuse and reuse all over again that same analyzer that you created. So we created the analyzer, we tracked the status, it's now succeeded, and now let's analyze a file. So this is actually a call center analysis that I got online. So let's see if I can share the brief recording of this. Hold on a sec. How do I share my, yeah. Hold on, I'm kind of thinking we're wondering out now how to share the, I'm not sure if I can share the audio here. Let's see. So yeah, I got this from Magellan Solutions. It's some company that I saw online that has a sample recording that they shared. So I got that file, and now I'm analyzing it. And let's get the result. So in this discussion, they're talking about the BlackBerry torch, and the person that was calling was Josh Milligan. They called AT&T to inquire about a letter received regarding an offer for a BlackBerry torch. And then Agent Erica was the person who received it, the lady. And here's the resolution in which the customer name was Josh, the agent is Erica, and it was actually a positive experience. And then we have another sample call center recording here in which it's basically another product. So yeah, it normally takes a little bit longer than expected because obviously it's a larger file. And let's see here what the sample call recording is. So actually, the recording of this was very weak, but apparently not a problem with the system because what happened was it's getting the transcript, and then from there. So I'm not sure if you guys heard, it's our sample company, and then this lady was trying to cancel the subscription, and then this is the name of the customer, this is the name of the agent, and then the whole interaction was neutral sentiment. And then once you've done, you delete the analyzer. Okay, so that basically sums up the demo. So in general, what are the different use cases that we actually can use this for? Number one can be on media asset management. Imagine that you have a lot of images, you have a lot of documents, and you have a lot of audio and video recordings, and you want to somehow categorize them. So what you'll do is you'll create a table to categorize all of them for you to be able to search them immediately. So that's one example. Or you want to add additional tags for you to search them in the future. You can do post-call analytics. So in the sample of our sample call center recordings, we analyze the different discussions, who was the agent, who was the customer, what was the product that we're talking about, and what was the sentiment, and if the issue was actually resolved or not. We can process documents. So I showed you a sample form in which you want to get the information about the document, the person who filled it up, and the information that they actually filled up. Or in the case of an invoice, you want to get the actual invoice details. It can be a chart. So I showed you an example of a bus and a car or a bike, but it can be a chart as well. You instead of a bus or a car, you put in a chart and then have it understand the chart, explain what the chart actually is. So a lot of different use cases that you can use Azure AI Content Understanding for. So to summarize, we can process documents, images, videos, and audio into a user-defined output format. So that defined output format will be based on our analyzer body. So the body in which we specify the field schema. And in that field schema, what is really important is that you need to basically let the LLM know what it is that you want actually wanting to extract or you wanted to get. Okay. And this uses Azure AI services. So this is an LLM based application. It uses generative AI to get the information. So again, it was through the analyzer body and through the description in which you're able to explain to the large language model what is it that you're actually getting. In other words, a proper description is needed to get the results that you want. All right, so that basically ends the presentation. I'm here. I'm opening the floor up for any questions from the audience. Oops. So let's see if there's any questions from the audience.
Thank you, Z. That was a really good presentation. I am just scrolling through the YouTube chat, and it looks like we don't have any questions from the audience. But I will say that to anyone at home who's watching and happens to have any question, any doubt, I think right now is the perfect time for you to drop your question in the chat. Ziggy right here is an expert, and he's ready to be answering live. But while we wait, Ziggy, would you be able to um, can you remind us if the QR code will where it will redirect people to?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, this QR code is, I made a mistake here. I'm supposed to create an image here of the QR code for the next Microsoft Reactor talk on Azure AI Agent Service, which will happen in the next 2 days. So this is the code for the what do you call this, for the current session. I made a mistake here. Yeah.
No worries. Let me make this bigger. So, like Ziggy said, we do have another session coming up in 2 days. If you guys want to scan the QR code and register for it,
No, no,
uh,
no. That's the wrong QR code. Let me just
oh, the
share
wrong
the
QR code.
yeah. Let's share the Microsoft Reactor event. Yeah, if you can do you have it, the link?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and while we wait, once again, if anyone has any questions in the chat, now's the time to drop them. But if not, I believe Zaya, you mentioned that people are able to reach out to you and ask any questions through LinkedIn. Are there any other mediums where people could reach out to you in case they happen to have any questions?
Yeah, I mean just in LinkedIn. Yeah, that's the only
Just on
social
LinkedIn.
media account that they have. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ziggy. And let me just put here.
Hello, Stella,
Um,
Hema. Yeah.
Hi, Stella. Hi, Hema. So yeah, like Ziggy mentioned, we have another session coming up. This one is part of season of AI, and the session is called "Build Your Code First App" with Azure AI Agent Service. So if you guys want to join us, feel free to visit the Microsoft Reactor website. That's where you will be able to register for this session and get into watch the session live with Ziggy. But it looks like there's one question, Ziggy. So this one, I'm gonna pop it on the screen. Is are there any comments about required licenses?
Okay, so hold on a sec. Let me get the Azure AI Content Understanding pricing. So number one, you need to definitely have. So let me share my screen again.
Yeah.
So that's a good question. So number one, you need to have an Azure account, obviously, and then from there, create an Azure EA Services resource, and then what is saying here in this website. So you can go to the Azure AI Content Understanding website. You need to only pay for what you use, so there's no any upfront cost. And then you have some pricing here. So for example, when we extracted content from our invoice, it was around 1.65 US dollars for every 1,000 pages. And then there's a little bit more add-on, which we not do. So if you want to get the layout of the document or get the formulas or get the different fields, then there's additional pricing to that. For the image, we extracted the content and it was actually free. Okay, so all right, so yeah. But if you want to get the different fields, it's $60 for every 1,000, and then for audio, when we just simply extracted the content, it was 0.396 per hour, meaning the number of hours of recording. And then for videos, it's the same thing. So number of hours of recording per hour. So in my example, we just got practically the content. We didn't extract any fields. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Ziggy.
Yes.
And
So yeah, Zul was asking,
we
how
have
can you
another
apply the
question
same?
from someone in the audience.
Yeah.
Second. I want to know how can we apply these skills to create AI data management?
So in general, we have a lot of unstructured documents, and you want to put it in a structured format for you to be able to, number one, be able to search in the future, or number two, to be able to, somehow not only make sense of the data, but to actually, when you say categorize it, to be able to put it in a structured form so that you'll be able to search it or get insights from it. So, for example, it can be a lot of use cases. It can be that for the document side, you're getting a lot of invoices from many customers. So the current status without AI is that you probably need to go through each and every invoice or receipt, get the information, and then manually upload it in a back office system or a financial software. Or in the case of a COVID consent form, that was my initial example, a lot of people filling up a sample form, and then you had to manually, encode the document and enter it in your system for you to be able to, get the information that you need and to, get all the information you need. So that with that use case, you're essentially removing all the headache, all the manual labor, and having a large language model and a service to get the data for you. It can be the case for call center operations or for any recording for that matter. If you have a million recordings, if you're in a customer service operations company, you have so many recordings, and instead of you manually having to go through each and every recording, then you can easily use the service to get information from that. It can also be the case for videos. If you're a media company and you have so many videos and you want to categorize them, get the information about those videos, that's also what you can do. So many use cases that you can apply this for one's daily work. It really depends on the use case that you have.
Perfect. Thank you, Ziggy. We are running out of time, so I will be wrapping up the session now. But thank you, Ziggy, once again for this very insightful session. Like I mentioned at the beginning, if anyone happened to miss any part of the session, don't worry because this will be on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in 24 to 48 hours. And as well, if you happen to have any feedback, any comments about the session, we would appreciate if you could please scan this QR code that is being shown on the screen. It will redirect you to a small survey that will take a couple minutes of your time, where you will be able to answer a few questions about the session, any comments you might have, so that we can get your opinion. And that way, we can notify Ziggy and we can continue creating content for you guys. And last but not least, we also have two new communities related to Microsoft AI. So if you guys want to join us on the Discord community or the GitHub discussion boards, we do have these two QR codes that you can scan and you can join those two communities. We would appreciate it very, very much. But aside from that, thank you, Ziggy, once again for joining us today. And thank you all for joining us at home. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you,
Thank you very
everyone.
much. Thank you. Thank you, Isabel.